Hello guys, so this week's video is actually going to be a marker collection video. Now this has been requested a few times in the past and it's been requested on my live streams as well, so I thought I would actually do a marker collection today. So first of all, I'm actually going to start off in the top left hand corner. We actually have Posca markers and Chalkola markers. The Posca markers I got in my scrawler box from my very first scrawler box back in June 2016, and the Chalkola markers were actually sent to me, and I will have the link to both in a card. The next section is for Sharpie markers. Now when I brought these Sharpies, they were on offer for more than half price on Amazon, and I can't resist a bargain, so Sharpie markers. So the next one down is Copic refills. Now, how I've been getting Copic markers over the years is I actually started with very little amounts of Copic markers. I actually got used to the colour and liked it and wanted to use it more, so I brought the refill for it. That is why I have quite a lot of refills, because I've used the colours so much that I have and it builds up. In total, I have 13 Copic refills. So going on to the actual alcohol-based markers, I have 12 sections to choose from, and the first section is the reds, oranges, skin tones, well, light peachy tones, yellows, pinks, purples, turquoises, blues, browns. Now with the greys, there's actually two types of grey. There's the neutral warm greys and the cool greys. Greens. This particular marker case actually houses various different markers. So it houses duplicates, it houses my tiger markers so I can keep them separate, and also it houses my Spectrum Aqua pens right top right there. Now I use this particular case to actually have my microphone and a lamp on the top. That's why my sketchbook is here, because the surface area isn't quite big enough for the feet of the microphone. So I apologise if it looks really messy. So over the years I've had to replace markers, specifically the old generation Spectrum Noir markers. These are the old generation Spectrum Noirs. I'll show them more in detail in a minute. The tips literally just disintegrate on themselves, so that's why I've had to replace them. And Spectrum Noirs have this horrible thing where you have to buy the entire set to get that specific colour. I know you can find single ones online, but I knew that other colours in that set were destroying themselves as well, so that's why I just decided just to buy the whole set again, buy the new type, which is actually like these, the hexagonal barrels. The only reason why I have some of the hexagonal barrels here is because these are duplicates because of Scrawler Box. If you've seen my October 2016 Scrawler Box called Happy Cat, I think it is, then I got Spectrum Noir markers and I already had them anyway, so that's why they're here. Down here are the markers that need to be refilled or need to have new markers brought for them. This is mostly refills. So these are the tiger markers. Now I don't know what I'm going to do with these, because it might not seem like there's limited colours, but in terms of values, the colours are very limited in what they can have. So I'm not exactly sure what pictures to do with these particular markers. I might end up giving them away in the future. I don't know. I'm still undecided about it. But if I do give them away, they're probably going to be either for a giveaway or a contest prize. I've hardly used these. The only time I really use the black is for blacking out addresses when I need to throw letters away. I also have my Copic duplicates and also my duplicates for my Letraset Pro markers. This is also where I keep my blender pens, and I also keep my black markers as well. The only one that's not here is the tiger marker, and it's actually just down there. So you can see I've got a Copic blender, Spectrum Noir blenders. These are all blenders from Letraset Pro Marker. Now the reason why I have so many blenders is because when either my mum or dad have brought me sets of markers for Christmas or birthdays, they've always had blenders in them, but I didn't want to chuck them away because I thought that they could be of good use in the future. Basically, I don't like throwing things away, and this case is the proof. The first marker case is actually a homemade case out of foam board. It was the very first thing I made out of foam board completely. It's also stuck together with hot glue. So the second storage is actually a set of Spectrum Noir marker trays put together into a cube and a piece of foam board stuck over the top with some duct tape. This actually makes the surface a lot easier and more versatile for my space, and also it keeps some dust off the markers because in between uses markers actually can get dusty. There is a sketchbook on top of this because my microphone stand is actually a little bit too big. It has like a surface area that is a little bit bigger than the box, so what I tend to do is I put a sketchbook on top of it just so I can get that extra bit of width to hold the microphone stand. I got the Spectrum Noir trays as a Christmas present, so I didn't pay for them, plus my mum actually told me how much they were, and they were actually on sale by a lot when she got them, so that's kind of why. I think the tip about storing markers, I feel like if you can actually make it yourself, it's much cheaper and much more affordable, and plus you can make it so it's perfect for your space. I feel like my marker storage case is a bit too big, but at the same time it works out because I'm not planning on getting any more markers, but if I do, I have the space to accommodate them, and also I can use the storage for other types of pens, pencils, stationery and all that, because back in 2012 I actually made one out of an old Nintendo Wii box that I had. Some marker storage. I decided, you know what, let's make some marker storage because I don't have the money to splash out on a specific storage unit. So I made it and I was so proud. It lasted 2 years, and then after that I decided to use it as a stationery box, and that stationery box can actually be seen in my workstation tour. It's recently been cut down from its original size, but the main part of it is actually still working to this day. The fact that it's 5 years old and it's still kept up is really good. The main reason why I stopped using it as my main storage for my markers is I was 1, running out of space, and 2, the cardboard was starting to bow. So if you're going to make your own storage for your markers, I would suggest making it out of foam board. So you may have noticed that I have several different types of marker brands. So I've gathered a selection of markers, and I will say that one marker type is actually missing. That is because I filmed this video before I got my new scrawler box, which has style file markers. They're kind of like Copic alternatives, but the ones I have filmed, I will actually show you which ones are which. So the first marker type is Spectrum Noir. Now Spectrum Noir have 2 types. They have the old generation and the new generation. This currently is the old generation. It has a rectangle barrel and the tips like to destroy themselves. Next we have the hexagonal barrel, and these tips are actually a lot nicer. They're an improvement over the original, and the marker type is improved overall. The next marker type is actually going to be Winsor & Newton and Letraset Pro markers. Now, I have the Winsor & Newton brush markers, which have a brush tip, and here is the Letraset Pro markers. Letraset Pro markers and Winsor & Newton Pro markers, they are literally exactly the same. The only difference is the labels. That is it. Pro markers are the original and they have a bullet tip instead of a brush nib. So the next marker type is actually known as a Mirage pen. Now, these pens are kind of like an in-between of Pro markers and Spectrum Noirs. They have a triangular prism kind of like shape to them, and I had no idea these existed until I went into a local art shop. It was a really small shop, and I brought 10 of them in real life, and then I brought a lot of them online because I wanted to see how they would work. The next pen is a Copic Chow. I don't have any of the Copic Sketch. These have brushed nibs. They are probably the best in colour spectrum, and I love them so much. So this next pen is actually a magic marker. I really can't remember exactly what they're called, but I got this in a scrawler box, and it was for July. It was my second ever scrawler box, I think. And it's a really nice dark red colour. This is the only one I have. And it has a bullet nib and a chisel tip. It's a good pen. It's a good pen. That's all I can say about it. The last thing I'm going to talk about is colour charts. Now, colour charts can actually be done in various different ways. In some cases, I've had to make my own colour chart. So first of all, I'm going to show you my Copic colour chart. It looks very sparse because there are so many Copic colours. It really depends on how many colours are actually in a set. I think there's 358 for Copics in total, so I don't really know. And then there's a hex chart. A hex chart is actually one that sorts by colour rather than by colour family, and it relates to what colours look best together, and it's really helpful when picking colours to have this kind of chart. The next chart is the Spectrum Noir chart, and this one looks pretty full. That's because I have all the Spectrum Noir markers. The only time I will need to replace them is if I need to replace them because the tips have destroyed themselves. Next is the Letraset Pro marker chart. This one needs updating because I have not kept up with this one particularly well, especially with the transition from Pro marker of Letraset to Pro marker of Winsor & Newton. So the Mirage marker chart I actually made myself on Photoshop. It looks pretty professional, but no, I made that myself. Having a colour chart actually allows you to keep a track of the colours you already have, and also what colours go well together. It's very handy when colouring in pieces of artwork. Out of all my markers, the ones I actually use and the ones that are used normally on my final artwork that I do in alcohol-based marker is in the main section of my homemade case. So I've added up all the markers in that case, and it equals 325. Yes, I do have more in the little case, but most of those are duplicates, and some of those markers I'm thinking about giving away in that particular case, so that's why I'm not counting those. And plus I was only counting alcohol based markers like Copic, Spectrum Noir and Pro markers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed me gushing about my markers, because I have a lot of them. I have a problem, I really do, but remember, this collection started 5 years ago. I was 15 when I got my very first alcohol-based marker, and I've never looked back since. I'm now currently 20. But I also hope you learned something from this video, because I did scatter tips throughout this entire thing. Now you tell me down in the comments what your favourite type of marker is. And is it Copics? Is it not Copics? Tell me all in the comments. Tell me all your marker things. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!